Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're starting Broken Sword 2, The Smoking Mirror. So I just played Broken Sword 1, The Shadow of the Templars, and after playing that game, I saw an actual list of all the things that the director's cut that I just covered changed versus the original game, and it is quite a drastic list. And now I'm going to play Broken Sword 2 Remastered here to see if as much gets changed or if because they just called it Remastered they just got it running on modern PCs without using the Scum VM emulator, which in the end for the first game, if you can find the game files and use it on Scum VM, playing the original game is better than the director's cut, at least for your first playthrough. The director's cut adds stuff, but it changes stuff. It makes the game linear instead of open world. It eliminates several things, and I think a lot of it had to do either with actual directorial decisions, or just the engine. And since this remastered is the same engine, we're gonna have to question that. There's still some problems, definitely, with the screen resolution. On my Windows 10 PC, going in full screen cuts off the back button at 1080p resolutions. Going to augmented doesn't work either. So in the end, I end up with this window that's really small in the middle of my screen, and I actually have to use my TV to zoom in on it just to see. The audio, I will applaud them. They made an improvement here. Originally, all the audio was at 50%, and then I dragged it down to 25% or thereabout. It doesn't actually tell me a number, so I'm just guesstimating to get it to the point I want it at. It's still probably a little loud here. Languages are still hidden behind the flag, and interestingly enough, the United States language flag is missing completely. And subtitles are on, but there was another checkbox for something in the original game's director's cut that's missing. And it might be that there's even a language missing here too. So some features missing, but that's all we have to really look at here. You can see it says Broken Sword The Smoking Mirror instead of Broken Sword 2. It seems like they were thinking of almost making it a serialized thing, like episodes in a TV show or books in a series, versus just a planned trilogy or however long series of games, because they're not giving it numbers. This game's made by Revolution Software, and this is the second game. It's been a while since I played this, so I don't know how much will come back to my memory. And very Indiana Jones-ish, starting up on the temple.
This must be the place. Professor Ubier's house.
So
Looks
Nicole
pretty creepy.
and George.
I'd been away from Paris and hadn't seen Nico for nearly 6
No
months.
subtitles working in the cutscene.
I wanted to celebrate our reunion, but she had other plans. An appointment
The art style
with an
looks different.
archaeologist. Something to do with a Mayan stone she came across while researching a story. The guy who answered the door didn't look much like an archaeologist to me. I had a bad feeling about this.
So the problem with having subtitles not working cutscenes is if someone's actually deaf, they're gonna have no idea what's happening here. It's not how subtitles should work. George starts getting hit immediately. hole gets poison darted. What a contrived way to start a game. And they're intercutting it with this human sacrifice. And they grab Nicole. And they leave a spider to kill this guy. And they start a fire. What a contrived way to start a game. That guy gets his heart torn out, and it looks like the cutscene might have been a little bit cut off there. It certainly felt like that in the director's cut. So we've got a spider right here, and we're trying to wheel away from it. In the middle of a fire too. So most point and click games don't actually have a timer on it. The interface here looks a little bit improved though. Instead of having a black bar at the bottom throughout the whole game, they've put the controls here. Look, a Facebook and Twitter thing even. That's weird. You have your question mark here for puzzle hints, which weren't in the game originally, and interface help and all of this. A completion percentage and a time. What's interesting, I guess, is we had to save in the director's cut of the first game to find that out. Now we'll just have this, and we have here our notebook that will fill in as we play the game. So we've got a bookcase, a drawer, and this. And I kind of wish the interface would go away. Is there any way to do that? No. This is possibly worse. I wish the interface would just come down here and like scroll up like a start bar on Windows. Let's click on the spider. Try to stomp it. That doesn't work. Well then, let's go ahead and kick the bookcase and
I
smash
glanced
it.
over the books, vaguely hoping to find a copy of How to Deal with Poisonous Spiders While Tied to a Chair. No such luck. But I noticed one corner of the bookcase was supported by a loose block of wood.
So they did make an improvement here because now the close-up of the faces is much larger and a slightly different animation style, but probably better animation style. And the text, when he's speaking, doesn't go over the guy's face or the people's faces or eyes. So let's kick this block of wood we found.
Maybe I'd been a little heavy-handed, but it was a question of survival. Of course, I was still tied to a chair in a burning house with no means of escape.
So now this changed, and so I have a 1% completion ratio, and another hint is available to me. This metal bracket was probably supposed to hold the thing up. See if we can free ourselves on that.
With one mighty bound, our hero was free. Now, I had to deal with that fire.
And see, this is practically a scene stolen directly from Indiana Jones.
I wasn't touching that spider goo.
Notice still a problem of a really dark color of George here in the main animation, and a much lighter tan on him.
The rope was shredded and no possible use to me.
Don't need the rope.
I had no time to sit around.
Don't need the
The
chair.
projecting bracket had served its purpose. There was nothing else I could do with it.
Let's go to the writing bureau.
Inside, I found a bottle of tequila.
Alright, we'll take
Normally,
the tequila.
I didn't drink strong spirits, but today was far from normal.
He looks angry and kind of evil.
Disgusting. Not only did the tequila burn like hell, I just managed to stop myself from swallowing the worm.
Interesting. I was trying to pick it up, not drink it.
I'd drunk enough of that.
Interesting. Let's check the drawer.
In the drawer was a small decorated pot.
We got a lot of music and background sounds playing right now. Look at this photograph.
Nice couple.
That is a really oddly drawn thing. And then close the writing bureau again, I guess. Let's come over here and get this poison dart.
That dart was sharper than a mosquito's business end. But this didn't deter me from getting it anyway.
The audio sounds a little bit better than the first game. That's not super surprising, because almost any audio would have sounded better than what...
I wasn't going to touch the box after that spider had been inside it.
Because there's a siphon. Let's grab that.
There was no pressure in the siphon. I guess it was out of gas.
And what's strange here, there's bars on the windows. I think the solution is just to jump through the flames.
I racked my brains to think of a way to improvise a fire extinguisher. If only I'd stopped for a coffee at the airport.
Like, pick this up and just hold on to it. No.
There was no pressure in the siphon. I guess it was out of gas.
And we've got some inventory items. This pot and this dart. And see, that doesn't work. We can't drag something from here and put it there. Let's open this cabinet. Just standing right next to the fire.
Cabinet was locked.
Let's see if we can lockpick it with the dart. Nicole seemed like she was wearing a pretty short
As I
dress
released the lock, something blew the doors open.
when it started. Interesting fashion choice. Let's take the cylinder. But
That
she
cylinder
was...
hot. I couldn't pick it up with my bare hands. The cabinet was already open.
So, but she was wearing kind of high fashion French stuff in the previous game. What's this? A bag.
It was a stylish little canvas number containing a lipstick, a handwritten note, and a pair of nylon panties with a large love heart emblazoned across the front. It occurred to me
Seriously?
that Nico's tastes must have really changed while I was away. Well, they could be useful.
See, they're being silly with the items. Going through a lady's purse. So, take this thong.
The panties I'd found in Nico's bag were just what I needed to wrap around the hot cylinder.
I kind of wish that Nicole and George had been together between the two games, because it seems kind of silly to just continue the story 6 months later and no progress on their relationship, because they really didn't have much of a
The
relationship,
cylinder gave out a faint hiss.
even at the end of the first game. In all reality, it was
Now I had one primed up and ready to use extinguisher.
a forced romance that, yes, it was forged through diversity and struggle, but it was still pretty forced. And I would have preferred they said, for the past 6 months I've been dating Nicole. It's been a wonderful time.
Our unshakable
And-
hero saved the day. Now it was time to start looking for Nico.
Putting ourselves kind of in the same, just very
I wasn't
early
gonna burn
phase.
myself on that red-hot doorknob, and it wasn't the time for subtlety.
So he just kicks the door and goes through. And see, they just wanted a tutorial level where you learn to pick up items and use items with items and to search items. And that's all that room was. Uh,
I'd found a piece of newspaper folded in two.
I would say if it was
It
instead
referred
that
to a forthcoming eclipse of the sun. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be visible from Europe. The best place to view the eclipse would be Mexico.
So I think we're going to get away from Europe. Like, if it was me, I would have started the game with George walking into Nicole's apartment, a very familiar experience from the first game. Nicole not being there, her apartment being ransacked, and then clues that showing she's obviously been kidnapped, and then he needs to find her. And that would have helped him. You could have stayed in her apartment looking for clues for a tutorial level and then moved on. There's really no reason to be in a different house and have me tied to a chair and have the room on fire and have a spider. It's just a lot of things going on at the beginning. I guess we'll use the
phone
telephone.
was no use to me. Apart from Nico, there was no one in Paris I wanted to call.
Let's see, this door and this door. Wouldn't it be weird if one door game overs you right then and there? Nope, one door is just locked. And theoretically, this would unlock a door.
The tiny point was only of use for picking small locks.
Darn it. Tried that. We have this lipstick.
It was Nico's lipstick. It wasn't my color. And it reminded me of clowns.
Reference to the main game. The first game.
It was a pair of red, lace-trimmed panties decorated with a large black satin heart.
Let's see.
The pot contained a key.
Interesting.
The house key didn't fit this lock.
Interesting.
It looked like a house key.
I'm just looking at all the items.
I guess I had no business reading the note, but I figured it might give me a clue to what Nico was involved in. It was from Andre Labanau, the history student Nico had known at college. The letter was sentimental mush, and revealed that the exotic lingerie, as he called it, was a gift from him. It gave his telephone number. Labanau figured himself as a rival for Nico's affections, but I couldn't believe that that creep was in the running.
So we now figured out that Labanau gave her this underwear. And now we have his telephone number so we could call him.
It was the newspaper clipping referring to the imminent eclipse. Wrapped inside it was another small piece of paper. It was a bank statement for Ubier's account from an automatic telling machine. The last 5 withdrawals were for large amounts, and all made in Marseille.
So now we know to go to Marseille.
It was the poisoned dart which had stunned Nico. I'd never known anything keep her quiet so effectively.
So can we now
Much
use
as
the
I disliked
telephone?
him, Labanau might be my only hope of finding Nico. Hi, Andre?
Who is this?
It's George Stobbart, Nico's boyfriend.
Don't you mean ex-boyfriend?
Look, I didn't call you just to pick a fight. I need to talk to you about Nico.
The audio's only in the
Except she's
right
just not
channel.
interested in you.
Listen, Andre, we need to talk. Nico's life depends on it.
Okay. You remember the cafe at Montfaucon?
Sure. Andre? You'd better show, you creep.
He didn't establish a
Felt an
time.
irrational urge to wipe my ear.
See, he just looks so angry and mean, and the art style is so drastically different from the first game. Let's go ahead and try this door now. I guess we have to leave.
The door was locked. I didn't fancy my chances of kicking this door down.
So we'll go ahead and see if we can pick the lock before we use the key on it.
The tiny point was only of use for picking small locks.
So now we use the house key and unlock it and leave. And we probably never come back to this house
I unlocked the door.
at
I
all.
wasn't looking forward to meeting Labano again, but he was my only link with Nico.
And this looks
There was
rather
no sign of
different.
Labano when I got to the cafe. I decided to order a coffee and wait for him.
You don't call the police or anything? You saw her kidnapped. I guess that is true about George, though, is he does just take control of everything and not ever bother to leave it to the police. Seems like you can walk in the cafe and sewer cover, and you can walk this way. Let's go.
I had no desire to go down into the sewers.
Let's go
I had
this
no
way.
place to go except back to Ubier's house. Besides, I didn't want to miss Labano. So I decided to sit tight and wait.
So I assume this is also an
It
exit?
was too hot to sit inside the cafe. Besides, I might miss Labano.
So let's ask the man some questions. We'll pick up a flask while we're
I
at it.
couldn't snatch the man's flask while he was looking.
Let's talk to him. Get him distracted
Pardon me,
and take his
but don't I
flask.
know you?
Huh?
You were here the day I found the catacombs.
I was. Ah, yes. I remember you.
Yeah. Are you still in the police force?
No, not anymore. I'm a man of leisure. And what brings you back to Paris?
So this is the policeman. And now we have our answer at the bottom of the screen instead of at the top. Let's see. Well, let's say Nicole.
My girlfriend.
What it is to be young and in love. Will you share a bottle of wine?
Hey, listen, I'd love to, but I need to keep a clear head.
Oh, my company isn't good enough for you.
Let's see. Wow, there's a couple of conversation pieces in this, and there's an exit or a back option. Let's ask about this character. If this guy is supposed to be this guy, let's ask about him first, I guess.
Why did you leave the police?
I was forced to retire. The golden handshake. Only in my case, it was more copper than gold.
How come?
I was made a scapegoat to cover up the department's inefficiencies.
Interesting. Considering the other guy was a Templar. I'm hearing a lot of directionality in the audio. Sometimes George is on the left side only, and sometimes he's on the right side only. And that sounds really bad to me because I'm wearing headphones as I record, and it's really unbalanced.
Have you ever heard of a Professor Ubier?
Like right now he's
No, monsieur.
only on the
I
left,
don't recall the name.
Well, apparently he's
and
an
the other
expert in
guy's kind of
Mayan
only in the
art.
left too.
A little out of my field of experience, monsieur. If he'd been a serial killer or a sodomite, I might have been able to help.
The thing really is that it would be better if it was just mono, and then then it would balance out to both ears, because directionality in audio only works when it's actually well balanced and still mostly near the center of the soundstage, so there's a little bit on the right and a little bit on the left, as if a person was standing to the slight left of you when you were talking to them, but you were still facing them. This sounds like somebody is directly facing my left ear and only speaking into my left ear, while my right ear is just hearing the music of the game. Let's continue talking to him.
What's that you're drinking?
It's wine.
If I put the dart in his wine, will he fall asleep?
What do you make of this dart?
I remember a case where the victim was killed with just such a device. The poison acted in seconds, causing his body to swell up like an inflatable life raft.
Hopefully that didn't happen in Nicole.
What do you make of this news cutting?
Orphanage supplied fast food chain?
No, it's the article above that.
Oh! Total eclipse of the sun. Well, that's very dull in comparison. I don't know anything about eclipses.
Interesting. I may just have to go into the audio and turn up the volume for people's talking, because I can barely even hear them in their dialogue.
Tell me what you make of this note.
By years of experience, I gained a pretty good insight into handwriting. I'd say that note was written by a compulsive, obsessive type with an Oedipus complex.
That's Andre.
You got just about everything apart from the ponytail.
Alright. So, if we were to do this with the flask, will this work?
Not such a good idea.
And see, when the waiter's here, let's talk to the waiter. Come on, waiter, let me talk to you.
Oh, garçon. He ignored me. I'm sure it was deliberate.
Interesting. Let's talk to him again. This is Paris, so they will ignore you.
Hey, you.
What?
I'd like a cup of coffee if you don't mind.
When I finish serving this gentleman.
And see, he's pouring from the flask into the wine. And I get the coffee. So who needs alcohol?
Thanks.
Who adds alcohol to wine? Interesting.
What does that guy keep pouring out of his flask?
Absinthe.
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 I thought that was highly dangerous and outlawed in France.
It is. Don't look at me, I didn't sell it to him.
Interesting.
Do you know a guy called André Lobineau?
Oui, I know him. What of it?
Well, I'm supposed to meet him here. Did I miss him?
No, I have not seen him today.
Have you heard of Professor Oubier?
Oui,
Oubier.
he married that actress, the little dachshund. They used to come here. The nutty professor and the movie star.
Look at this drawing of the girl. That is really, really bad.
If Oubier's wife was a movie star, how come I never heard of her?
She was big in France. The world doesn't stop at Hollywood. Her stage name was Carol Climax. She died in suspicious circumstances.
See, and this waiter looks better drawn than he does. Strange.
How did Oubier's wife die?
I heard he shot her.
And got away with it?
He had a good lawyer and they wrote a tight alibi.
Why would an eminent public figure like Oubier risk everything for murder?
He wouldn't be the first, would he? Besides, people like him always get off.
Do you know
keep
that man
talking.
over there?
I should think so. He's a regular customer.
Look at this. A poisoned dart.
Ah oui, sure.
So we're gonna end
It's
up
the real thing.
showing
Knocked
things
my girlfriend
to
out
people
cold in a
all
matter of
the
seconds.
time.
Romantic. Sounds like a real close relationship you have going.
That's all.
Thank you.
And then Andre shows up finally. And he's frowning.
Well, this is a surprise, Georgie.
I wouldn't normally call you. But Nico's in trouble, Andre. Deep trouble. You have to help me find her.
What? What have you dragged her into this time?
It was
He-
you that recommended Professor Oubier as an expert on Mayan art. Now his butler has kidnapped her. And he tried to kill me.
Every time she gets involved with you, there is trouble. Walking out on her
True.
was the best thing you could do.
My father was dying, damn it. I had no choice.
Well, she soon recovered once she went back to her old friends.
Drop it, Andre. Right now, Nico's in danger, and we have to work together.
So we have this
How can I help?
Nico
backstory.
needed to
His father
speak
was
with the
dying,
leader
he
of
left her,
Stone.
Oh, you mean
and
this stone?
that slowed down their romance from growing.
So that's what all the trouble's about.
Precisely. Nicole told me to guard it with my life.
Well, it's worth more than that, surely.
Oh, very funny.
What's funny is that your life really is on the line.
What are you talking about?
The stone is a Mayan artifact, dummy, and the guy who kidnapped Nico was from Central America. It was the stone they were after.
Oh my god, you mean I could be in danger too?
Alright. And sadly, I guess maybe I could exit
Much
out
as I hated
here.
to admit it, Labano was the only lead I had left. In that dusty archive he called a mind, he had to know something to help find Nico. It was just a question of pumping it out of him.
So I can't go back, which also means I can't really save the game or anything. Once I get out of this conversation, though, in the next recording, I am going to have to definitely remanipulate and rebalance the audio. I need the music probably a little bit lower, the dialogue a lot higher. It's not balanced properly, even though the three sliders of sound effects and dialogue and music were all at 50%. They're still not balanced properly to each other for it to be at 50%. It should have actually been like the first game where they moved the sliders to a better position by default and allowed the player to decide if they wanted to make any more changes. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. We'll start right back here. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me further, click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a button that says support this channel. Also, if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.